All right, let's start with some honesty. It's 3:45 on day 3 of Cisco Live. If you're anything like me, you're probably running on a mixture of like 3 coffees, probably a couple of energy drinks. Anybody run into a questionable taco at some point? Okay, yeah, it's happened to all of us. And I have the honor, pleasure, and struggle of being the thing standing between you and a party with Maroon 5 and the Chainsmokers, so I recognize that's gonna be challenging, but here's the cool part. I'm actually really excited about the innovation we get to talk about, and my goal is to get you all as excited about the innovation Splunk and Cisco are shipping, and so my goal is to do that. If I don't for some reason, my boss is sitting right outside, I think, with a credit card ready to take you to the bar, so find him, tall British guy. Okay, so I'm going to share with you some roadmap things, and we're going to talk about some things that are generally available, and I'll try to be explicit every time in terms of like announcements and capabilities. But we do have lawyers, so read the forward-looking statement and decide accordingly. Okay, that's my attorney maxing complete. All right, folks, let's get into it. 2 years ago, if you got a conversation going, your CEO sends you an email and says, talk to me about this cloud thing, you knew you were in trouble. And today, the trouble starts when you get an email from your CEO with a Substack link about Agentic AI at 11 p.m. on a Sunday. Like, we are in a different world of excitement and expectations being very high on what AI and Agentic means to organizations. We've seen AI 10x developers. It's 10xing everything. It's 10xing the amount of data being created by systems. It's 10xing tokens, but it's also 10xing threat actors and their ability to actually come attack us and exfiltrate the information we don't want them to have. And in order to be successful in this era, we think that digital resilience, that ability to answer the question of are my mission critical, customer facing, revenue generating applications secure and up and running, we have to help you move at machine speed, and we have to help you deploy agents that you can trust. And if you do this wrong, meaning you don't deploy agents in a safe way, you start to put things into the system that threaten your resilience, it becomes a $600 billion problem for enterprises, according to our latest cost of downtime report. So what we sense is, and what I'm going to show you throughout the conversation, is how we're actively trying to help customers move from detect and respond to predict and prevent with some very impressive capabilities I'm going to walk you through. Okay, so there are 3 core pillars that really drive our product and technology engineering teams in terms of prioritization. The first is really about how we unlock cross-domain insights at scale by driving a data and AI unification strategy. The second pillar is around operational convergence, operated at machine speed, meaning if we get the data part right, then we actually can deploy humans and AI more effectively to stand up defenses that can handle this agentic era. And the third is like to move to end-to-end visibility of those agents to actually be able to deploy them safely and close the trust gap, because frankly, we can't ship agents, we can't put them in production if we can't trust them, if they're not auditable, and they don't have the right telemetry coming out. And so we're gonna help you look at every layer of that stack. Okay, so the first area that we talk about is something I hear from customers worldwide, regardless of what language I hear it in. By the way, has anybody tried the Translate with the earpods? It's phenomenal. I was with my friends in Brazil a couple weeks ago, and it was wild how good I was able to come up or stay up to speed. But everybody tells me we're drowning in data. Right, if you think about it, if you've got developers that have been 10 times more efficient because they're vibe coding, you're gonna have 10 times more telemetry coming, and I think that's a rising tide we have to deal with. And that data telemetry, or that data sprawl, starts to create problems where if it's in silos and it's not in a unified place, not only do humans struggle with context, but any AI tool is only as good as the data you can provide it. And so we've spent the last few years since Cisco acquired Splunk really focusing on how do we make it easier for customers to ingest all of this brilliant telemetry being created by Cisco networking devices and bring that into Splunk for that unified capability. And so we've been working in 2 kind of key areas, the control plane and the data plane, and I want to get into one that I'm pretty excited about. So you all saw today at the keynotes, or all this week, about Cisco Cloud Control being the unified way that we actually interact with your entire Cisco estate. And so this is Cisco Live, and so why not do a demo of what this means to Splunk? All right, let's see if we can get this thing up. It is up? Oh yeah, here we go. All right, so Cisco Cloud Control is the one place that you're going to go for all access to your Cisco estate. And one of the things that's kind of neat here is we actually worked over the last year to actually integrate Splunk credentials into the unified identity. So you actually can use your Splunk identity credentials to actually get right in here to your Cisco Cloud Control. And you'll see here that we've got most of the tools, not every single tool yet, and we're still working on making them all generally available, but Splunk is absolutely part of Cloud Control. And so by clicking in here, I can actually get into the Splunk that you know and love in that unified way. And in Splunk, you should expect to see the things that you probably use if you're Splunk customers, all the search and reporting capabilities, Splunk Observability Cloud, enterprise security, IT service intelligence, and then a raft of integrations that we've been shipping over the last year on making it easy to instrument and provide security and observability to Cisco products. Okay, let's get back into Cloud Control. Ooh, I'm highlighting something I shouldn't. Okay. All right, so here you maybe saw the apps launcher, and this is kind of a fun one for me because a lot of the things I do, like I don't want to have to recreate them all the time. I use the same things over and over. And so you can actually not only build your own custom applications and link them here, but you also have the ability to store things like favorites. So I've got some of my favorite dashboards that I use in demos on a regular basis, and that's user configurable and super easy. But what really I think is probably the most powerful thing about Cloud Control and Splunk coming together is actually how we make it possible for you to use AI Canvas. And so the whole idea with Cloud Control is to bring everything that you need to run operations securely into a single space. So now I can go look at like, what actions actually need me to take some attention? Like I should probably go investigate the red things that are not going well. And so in this instance, what we found is we got a degraded application experience in one of our environments. So I can click right here into Collaborate in Canvas, and what it's actually going to do is it's actually going to go out and kick off this collaborative generative UI that's actually going in and using the AI agents in Splunk to actually go do root cause analysis of what's likely the problem behind this particular performance. And what you see here is, we talk about generative workspace, it actually went out and created this generative UI that says, actually, this experience is not because of a network device being down, it's actually probably something else in the layer that we should go investigate. And so it's actually surfacing this insight as I need it collaboratively, and then if I need to escalate this to somebody, it brings over the context right there with them. And again, this is all one shared login. We get to Cloud Control using our Splunk credentials, which I think is super easy. All right, let's get back to it. All right, so, and this is only the beginning, let me be clear, we're doing a whole bunch of additional integrations over the next year. You'll see a bunch at .conf that we'll be excited to show you. Now, when we talked about that data question, it's real. Like for years, like we've said, oh, just send all your data to Splunk and we'll solve all your problems. And that's, well, can be fundamentally true. What we realize is that the data fabric needs to provide you with more options. It needs to provide you with the ability to get data into a single platform that actually has shared context that those agents can be deployed against. And you need to have tools like AI-powered data management to say, before the data is routed to Splunk, maybe it shouldn't be in Splunk. Maybe it should be in Splunk, or should be in a data lake somewhere. We actually give you these tools to actually build intelligent data pipelines with the whole goal is to try to get you to have the right data in the right place at the right time for the right analytics. And if we do that well, we move you from just data to contextualized understanding of what's in that machine data to drive action more appropriately. Now, one of the most transformative concepts, I've been around Splunk, my first .conf was 2011. I was started as a customer, I was then a partner. I've been at Splunk 6 years, and I will tell you this is probably my favorite thing we get to announce. It's called the Splunk Machine Data Lake. And the concept here is that we can no longer operate in this world where we say all data is created equal, because frankly it's not. In the modern world, there are various levels of data. It's not, and all of the data doesn't have the same value over time. And so the machine data lake is meant to complement the Splunk index. Now the Splunk index is powerful, and we're still going to use the Splunk index for any of that data that has high value. It serves those low latency detections. It serves to answer those questions around, are my services up and running? But a lot of data that people send to Splunk never shows up in a search. It's not being used to drive any real context. It might be compliance data that I only keep because I have to. And so the machine data lake is a low-cost tier of storage, similar to like S3 kind of costing, that allows you to also, when it's put in the data lake, it's actually creating a knowledge graph. So think of it as metadata about the data that's in that data lake that Splunk can then read from using federated search. And the goal here is that if we give you a low-cost place to land all the data, you can do some really wildly cool things around deploying agents against a larger volume of data about your particular systems. Because one of the things that we think is, we're going to ship a whole bunch of AI tools over the next few years, and we've already shipped a bunch, But the ones that are best are the ones that are trained on your data, that are running in your environment, that are contextualized against the operations that you run and the systems you run. Now, we're excited. This is actually going to go GA next month, and I will tell you that this is one of those like foundational announcements that I think will fundamentally change how you consume and deploy Splunk at scale, hopefully driving some better outcomes for you. Now, one of the things I did mention there was this concept of federated search, because if we do data management well, and we can say, oh, I can route data to a bunch of different places, you might instantly go, oh, cool, you're good at building data silos. Federated search, it doesn't do that. What federated search does, it says, hey, if I routed data to Splunk, I have visibility to it, but what if I want to keep my analyst in that same Splunk search, but some of the data that may be useful to them could live in the machine data lake, or it could live in an external data store that's used for other operations purposes. And so federated search allows the user to stay inside Splunk and actually search into data that never came through the Splunk index. And we announced this last year, and we've actually made it generally available for things like Amazon S3 storage and around security data lake from AWS, but we're proud to announce that we're actually adding Snowflake, Azure Data Lake, Delta Lake via Spark, and Databricks late next month. So really excited to tell you all this is the story of how when you implement something like the data lake in place, you still have that visibility. You're not having to go through that painful process of migrating data back into Splunk and moving it around. You search it in place where it lives. And that means now we have a place that agents can actually reason over a larger volume of data. Okay, so with the data lake in order, one of the things that's really important is how do we actually deploy agents to reason over that data and go be the assistant I need in an agentic architecture. So one of the things we're excited to announce is this concept called the AI Toolkit Agent Builder. So really simply think of it this way. You all have built agents, you understand the concept of skills and scheduled jobs, but what this is it's actually using an AI runtime that's inside Splunk Cloud. So we're not actually sending data, we're not sending prompts to anywhere outside of Splunk Cloud. You don't have to manage any keys to connect this to your environment. There's no data leaving Splunk. This is a big deal for a lot of customers because when you think about using and integrating AI tools, many of you have HR committees going, whoa, where are we sending that data? Right? Who's going to have access to those prompts? Are they going to be trained against my data? This is all within Splunk. And all of it's actually designed to actually run to do things like helping you create detections, right? You can actually deploy the Cisco Deep Time Series Foundation model in these agents, or you can connect it to the 20 plus out-of-the-box MCP connections that we share. We also built into it this concept of guardrails so that everything that you have is auditable at every step, because ultimately, no matter what an agent does, we have to own the decision. And actually, we had one of our beta customers go through this recently, and this will be generally available in July. To be clear, I told you I'd tell you exactly when. But one of the customers actually told us that they were able to automate about 80% of the tasks that their level 1 analysts were doing. So this is wild unlock for the humans that we have to put to work if the agents can actually be successful. Okay, now I'm going to talk about some more products in a minute, but products are fun, but I think you all hearing from your peers, from customers, is always a lot more fun for me. And candidly, I like hearing the journey you're on how do you actually adopt these capabilities to go transform not only your business, but hopefully have good outcomes for you and your teams. So in order to do that, I'd like to invite my good friend Nimesh Bernard, the head of observability for Fannie Mae, to join me on stage. What's up, man?
Good seeing you.
How's Cisco Live been so far?
It's going good.
Busy?
Yes.
I figured as much. Okay. So Nimesh, for those folks that don't know you, would you give them a quick read on your role, your team, what you're building, and kind of we talked about this idea of an observability center of excellence. Kind of what does that mean for you and your team?
It's good to be here. I'm Nimesh, and I manage the observability team in Fannie Mae. And my team takes care of the platform, tools, and the data. And we also own the observability standards, procedures, and implementation. So that's what my team does on a day-to-day basis. So going back to your question of what is COE, that's Center of Excellence. So last year, we took the journey of Center of Excellence and say, what do we have to do so that we can be in a place where we can excel in how we observe? So it is a team that consists of different portfolios. Mm-hmm. It's not just the IT team, but we also have the command center. We have the business teams in that so that we all take a decision collectively. 3 things we did as part of the Center of Excellence is, number 1 is, do we have the right monitors in all of our IT stacks? Mm-hmm. Number 2 is, do we know what we want to observe? Yeah. This all leads into how we consolidate the data. And the third piece is, do we have a great key performance metrics to do this? And we all talk the same language. So these are the 3 simple steps we took, and whenever we go to different meetings, We talk the same language so that the leadership bought into this. That's what we do in the Center of Excellence.
Excellent. So one of the things that you talked about is, that Fannie Mae runs all sorts of systems, from on-prem systems to, cloud-native systems, really foundational core infrastructure that the U.S. housing market counts on. And so you're having to, you have to tie everything together, as you mentioned, from business data to transactional data. So, and data sounds like the fuel. So how do you go down the process of actually kind of unifying all that data so that teams play from that shared space?
Okay. It's a lot of questions. I'll try to answer it.
I get excited.
So as you mentioned, we have a multi-cloud, cloud, and also we are hybrid. So that means we are in cloud and we're also on-prem. That brings a little bit of complexity of data. It's not the same form of data. It's different forms of data. We talk about logs, traces, metrics, and then we have the networking data. So we have to bring all these things together. The challenge we have, and we are trying to solve, and we think we have a solution for this, is if an issue happens, we need to have 50 to 60 people on a call to solve it. Yeah. So we don't want to be in that place. We want to use all the agents, AI, all this data to expedite that process. So that's where we are taking the journey, and we are so confident we'll be able to do that. And another thing is, for us, it's not the volume of data, it's the value of each transaction. Mm-hmm. So each transaction is so important for us, and each of our transactions goes through a specific business process SLA. So we have a well-defined SLA, so that way we can measure what we do. And other thing we did as part of this journey is we embarked with the OpenTel journey. We said, okay, let's not go into some proprietary agents, but let's go into the OpenTel. So all of our stacks is in OpenTel, so that every team that injects logs, metrics, it's all in the same format. Mm-hmm. And also we use a data pipeline. So the data is created in the source, but it has to reach the destination, which is Splunk. So as we go through the data pipeline, we do the correlation, we do the normalization, enrichment, and extraction, and consolidation. All these things happen there. So the data that reaches the destination, we are very clear on what the data is and how we want to use it. This also brings another aspect to this is now we have a foundational data here. Mm-hmm. The same data, different personas can use the same data. Like an IT team can see how is their application stack is doing, and command center can see how is the incidents going on, and a business team can manage their business SLAs. And all of these things, even though it looks different in UIs in Splunk, but the data is the same. So that way, consolidation of data has helped us a lot in this journey.
Yeah, for sure. So that's kind of an informative kind of component, is that foundation is where we start. But ultimately, your job is to still answer questions that your board's probably going to ask, which is are these critical systems secure and up and running? So how did actually bringing that together and giving folks the shared data context, even though their UI might be different, how did that help them improve their ability to answer the question when something does go wrong?
Again, a lot of questions.
I know, I talk too much. I'm sorry, I get excited.
So when we talk about data, we always think it's observability and security separate, but in the industry, in the world we live in, it's one. Yeah. So when an incident, take for example, if a day zero incident happens, mm-hmm. and the CISO has to provide some feedback or tell the leadership on what it impact is, what the business impact is. Now with the consolidated data, they know what application is going to be impacted. Or if there's a critical vulnerability or a very high vulnerability that needs to be fixed, they exactly know what the impact is going to be if we don't fix it, what applications will be impacted. Number three in that is, if an outage happens, we are in cloud, and cloud can go down. Like we had recently in Feb and last year in December and September, we had a big outage. When an outage happens, for the CEO and the COO to take a decision should they fail over to another region, mm-hmm. if the data is siloed in different places and if they don't know the business impact, it is tough for them to make a decision. So with this approach, we are able to provide an information for both the CISO and the CIO on the security and the observability. They have the same data, they know the business impact, and they'll be able to take a decision based out of that.
Yeah. One of the things that you talked about with me before when we were prepping was this idea that you're moving towards, you got the foundation in place, now we're moving towards self-healing operations. Talk to me a little bit about what that means in your journey.
I wish I can do it right now, the self-healing, but it's not that easy. So what we did is, again, for us it's different, for you all it may be different, but I just want to explain what we did is, our ultimate goal is for self-healing. We want to be in a place where the tickets or the incidents are healed fast, but to go to that place, it's step one, step two, step three. So there is a lot of phases we have to go through because there is still some question marks on can the agent heal it. So we don't want to put something which can disrupt the business. So what we did in this journey of self-healing is we picked up some low-hanging incidents, like a CPU hike. Okay, if I see a CPU hike, it's an easy resolution that we can do it. And we run it in a very controlled environment where we say, this is what should happen when a human does it, and this is what happens when an AI does it. So we compared it so that we can provide some feedback to the leadership and move on to the second phase and the third phase. When we talk about the phases, there's a lot of data gets ingested in each phase. First phase is very limited, and the second phase is we provide more of historical data, historical incidents, VPC flow logs, CloudTrail. A lot of data it starts ingesting, and third phase is providing with architectural context, and then into the self-healing. And we believe with the technology we have in our ecosystem and the data consolidation we have, by end of this year or early next year, we'll be in a place to do a lot of the things in a self-healing mode.
That's fantastic. I think that's what we're all trying to get to, is that if we can do those three things well, then you actually get to have a seat at the table at kind of broader agentic architecture. So what changed over the last year that's brought you to the table to have that transformative conversation?
So because we own a lot of data, as I mentioned, my team manages the data, we manage the platform. Previously, like the CDO, this data office, they operate in a separate silo, the security operated in a separate silo. But with the new approach where log, metric, traces, knowledge article, historical data, everything is in one place, they come to a solution where like, okay, let's make it more of an open source. It's not like you own the data, you hold it, you do it, like it's more of open source. So we are able to open source our data to different organizations within our portfolios. That has brought some cost saving because you are not replicating data now. So we have data resiliency, we have great DLP, which is data loss. We have all those controls. So that's on one side where we have to deploy a lot of agents. So agents talk to one another. But another big piece to that is, by the way, the new Galileo is, I'm very excited about that, is we have MCP servers and the agents running. Mm-hmm. How do we monitor that? How do we have a system to see if the agent is doing what it's meant to do or it's going haywire, right? So we are in the process of implementing certain things so that we have a great governance in that. And when we talk about agents and MCPs, we are talking about the end-to-end traceability. Yeah. At the end of the day, the business doesn't care you run in an MCP or ABC. Yeah. They say, did my transaction go through? Did my business process go through? Is everything good? So if an issue happens, they want to see from start to end. And with all these new technologies, we'll be able to do that.
Yeah, it's exciting. So I think your goal here has always been around how do you shrink that decision latency, right? Give humans and agents the ability to be successful. So as you think about your journey and what your team has done, for the folks in the audience, is there like any major lesson that you'd leave them with today?
Major lessons is, I've been in this team for 4 years. Mm-hmm. When I took over this team, there was too many tools. Like some other tools, I don't even know why they existed. And the lesson I learned or my team learned is how can we reduce the tools? Mm-hmm. Having more tools did not help us because each of the tools are more of proprietary way of ingesting data. But like how do we reduce the tool and how can we consolidate the data? And another thing is how do you contextualize the data? Yeah. So that's the lesson we learned, and that's why we are able to implement a lot of AI use cases without fear.
I love that. Yeah. Well, Nimesh, thank you so much for giving folks a lesson about your journey and what to go do next. And I hopefully we'll be having some more conversations about you achieving that agentic operation.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. Thank you. All right, so great story. I love that. He's been super successful. He's a very humble guy too. His team has like really achieved some very cool stuff that he's very nice to share it with us. So the data fabric that we talked about before on making sure that we put the right data in the right place at the right time doesn't exist alone. It enables everything that we want to talk about next, which is this idea that Nimesh kind of started, which is how do you bridge the silos between security, IT, and operations teams across the company to collaborate in a unique UI that's shared in terms of data context? And how do we actually deploy tools that meet each of your users, whether IT operations teams, SRE teams, SecOps teams, with the right agents to be successful? Because fundamentally, like attackers and service disruptions, they don't care what your badge says. The data is the fuel to help solve those problems. So one of the folks, the groups that we work very closely with, and Splunk is broadly used in security, the security teams, they're doing heroic work right now in what I would say is like kind of unprecedented times and stress as we start to think about the AI-powered threat landscape that we're dealing with. They're facing this explosion of amounts of data. The cost of having all these tools running is expensive. And even then when they go look at these fragmented tools and they swivel chair between them, we still end up with coverage gaps that are painful. But that sort of technology challenge and business challenge is actually turning into some human challenges. It's actually taking a toll on our talent. These folks are reporting that 50% of security leaders this past year said that they're actually thinking about leaving their role. Because it's hard, and it's not getting easier, it doesn't feel like. And so we don't think that's necessarily a talent problem. It's not like the SOC analysts and folks haven't been working really hard. I think we need an operating model change. And what we think is that's the story behind why we're building towards this agentic SOC, is that we want to simplify the experience, take away as much of that low-value, annoying work that is prime for agents to take on, so that the humans that we do have are more successful. They feel more fulfilled, and they have the tools to go be successful working on things that do require human intelligence. And so we're really excited about Splunk's enterprise security being that agentic SOC of the future. And again, this is a security capability built on top of that data platform so that you have shared context across network, endpoint, identity, cloud, SaaS, AI applications wherever you are, with AI agents that are deployed to actually help you enrich, correlate, and act, but keeping humans in the loop and in control at all times. And the goal here is that we're actually building a SOC that actually gets better over time and is learning and improving continuously. We had some major updates this past year for Enterprise Security 8, where we shipped a raft of new pre-built detections. We made orchestration and automation much easier. And later this year, ES is going to get another big update around conf timeframe we're excited to talk about. But one of the things that we tried to do was to try to make the experience easier, get rid of that swivel chair of having to jump between tools. And so we combined most of the portfolio and security into this premier packaging solution where we bring SIEM, SOAR, threat intelligence, user and entity and behavior analytics, and AI assistant all into a single interface. So the idea there is that you're getting access to the entire suite of security tools in a single UI that's designed to be the partner for your analysts. Let's take a look at this next one. This is the fun part, is announcements around agents. So later this year, we realized that to get to the agentic SOC, it's not just like, oh, you have like an assistant. We recognize that you have to have really tailored capabilities that are specific in meeting the analyst in their process. And so if we, I think everybody's, one of the top topics I hear is like, oh, what do we do post-Mythos? Frankly, what do you do post-Mythos? It's that you operate at the same machine speed. You fight fire with fire. And so one of the things we're building is these really neat agents, so we'll kind of go into them. So detection builder agent, this is literally the idea of like you have a hypothesis for a detection that might be necessary, but this agent helps you put it in production in minutes. We have a standard operating procedure agent that can actually map your processes to SOC compliant responses. We even have a malware reversing agent that can actually autonomously handle malware, which is kind of great. Triage agent that actually helps you go from that threat discovery all the way to action. And then when we talk about action, we have this security orchestration capability, but we're making that easier to deploy with the guided response and automation builder, which basically can do the job of building that hard part of middleware and making SOAR work really well to shrink the time it takes to build that automation into your SOC. Now, one of the things we've also been excited about, we just announced this earlier this year, is that we were a founding member of this thing called the AWS Security Hub Extended. Here's the basic idea. As a founding partner, we did a bunch of integration work to bring enterprise security and tightly couple it into the AWS Security Hub. And so that simplifies things like how do you procure Splunk in that context? How do you actually get real-time correlation between and bidirectional sync between Security Hub and Splunk? So it's the ES that you know and love with all the capabilities we talked about before, but supercharged by being part of AWS. And the goal here, like everything we're trying to do, is to make the analyst's life easier, get rid of those swivel chair experiences, and really extend those security capabilities across clouds. Now, our friends in observability, IT teams, SRE teams, they're getting the same pressure as our security operations teams. They're buried in alerts, there's blind spots in their services, and they're frankly probably struggling. I hear it often is like, how do I actually connect to the business context of what happens when a service is interrupted? And also, like think about, security folks are worried about this 10xing of how agents have made attackers better, but think about the poor folks in the SRE teams that are dealing with like, now everybody in the company's vibe coding, like this is a thing now that we now are shipping into production, these vibe coded applications that are maybe not architected super well. and they're dealing with maybe other agents that they're trying to deploy. So what we generally believe is that if that's true for developers, we should be giving AI teams the same kind of 10xing in operational excellence by having embedded agents to help fix and ideally prevent disruptions before they happen. And looking at that whole observability stack for your AI environments, how do we build trust in those? Okay, so Splunk's unified observability portfolio has really brought together many of the capabilities that you've known and loved in Splunk, but we've added things like observability for AI, which we're going to get into that. We've been adding things like Cisco Network Observability. We brought the best capabilities of App Dynamics into Observability Cloud. You still have the capabilities you'd expect from ITSI with glass tables, but also you have Event IQ, making it so much easier to get value and build those service health and real-time monitoring of critical business applications. This gives us the broadest coverage of owned, unowned networks, applications, traditional apps like SAP, three-tier apps, and even things like cloud-native services. And I'm excited to tell you we are bringing some cool agents to this platform as well. So I'm excited to announce the AI SRE in Observability Cloud. Now this will be GA now. It's GA now, my bad, I thought it was future. So this is gonna give you automated detections, automated troubleshooting, and automated remediation, but you still have the human in the loop. It's gonna help you find the probable root cause, build remediation plans, and step-by-step how to go solve it. This is resulting in massive reduction in MTTR. And now here's the thing that I wanna kind of blow your mind. We're actually including this at no additional licensing cost. It's included for our customers. Now, like anything, let's see a demo. I think proof is in the pudding, so grab a spoon and check out this cool video about AI SRE.
Cisco Cloud Control gives teams a unified operational experience across Cisco and Splunk, with full stack visibility and custom workflows built around how they operate. For network and infrastructure teams, that means faster access to insights and workflows across the entire stack from a single experience. Traditionally, these teams have only had visibility into the infrastructure and network performance, even though many issues originate in the application layer and ripple across the environment. For example, I can see that my defense clause service is experiencing issues, and I can trace the impact to the OpenClaw node. With Cisco Cloud Control, I can drill down directly into the underlying infrastructure to continue the investigation using Splunk Observability's AI SRE. The AI SRE helps automate root cause analysis, and right away, the system kicks off an AI-driven root cause investigation. Instead of manually stitching together logs, metrics, and traces, the troubleshooting agent does that for me, pinpointing that this isn't just a network issue, but a Kubernetes-related problem affecting the service. And this isn't just a black box. I can see the supporting evidence, logs, traces, and metrics that validate the hypothesis. The system summarizes what's impacted, what's triggered the alert, and why this root cause is most likely with a confidence score. From here, I'm given a clear AI-generated action plan to remediate the issue. And because remediation still requires trust and oversight, operators can bring a human into the loop to validate recommendations, collaborate across teams, and confidently take action with the full context of the investigation. One signal, multiple teams, autonomous root cause analysis, leading to faster remediation. This is how Splunk enables agentic observability with AI SRE.
Excellent. So I want to do a quick survey. So a quick show of hands. Who here has AI agents in production? Anybody got them? Okay, keep your hands up for just a second. Is anybody also running OpenClaw in your enterprise? No? Okay. So is anybody running agents that you actually would trust giving it your Amex health records? No chance? I don't think you're wrong. But I think that's the problem that we all have to solve, which is if we're going to have these expectations that we have to have agents everywhere in the business, we ought to be able to trust them. We ought to trust them so much so that they have access to the kinds of data and capabilities that we actually can trust them with. And so that's the challenge we want to kind of work through and how we solve it, because agents ultimately, if they are deployed, they're going to be part of your business systems, the things that touch your customers. And if we all know they're non-deterministic, they're not like explicitly, deterministically programmed, they can drift, they can hallucinate. Has anybody here had an AI hallucinate on them? Like everybody has. It's a real thing, right? So we have to figure out how do we actually create that trust so that we don't have the downstream impact of like destroying trust with our customers because our agents went way off the rails. And so one of the areas where we've spent quite a bit of time over the last few years is really thinking about when you look at the modern observability or the modern AI stack, whether you're deploying that on premises in your own data centers and you're spending lots of money with NVIDIA, which is great, or you're consuming those services in the cloud, you really have to have visibility at every layer of the stack, from the agents all the way to the GPUs, wherever they happen to be running. And you have to have access to telemetry about the network, compute, and data, and the models that are running in between, so that you can do things like detect those risks in those AI systems, detect things like data leakage or prompt injection, or when it violates policies and goes off the rail. And you have to have accurate visibility with like full fidelity of what those systems' decision-making are, because you have to make it transparent and audible if we're gonna have trust. So in order to get there, we've been making a number of contributions back to the Open Telemetry Foundation on how we actually instrument the modern AI stack, but then we've also been thinking about how do we bring the insights that would matter to a team trying to bring that observability and trust to AI. And so one of the first areas that people asked us to think about was really in that concept of like, I need to understand what's going on in the actual infrastructure. How do I actually monitor that infrastructure, that if I've built agents, I'm running training runs, that I actually have visibility into the consumption and usage of that AI infrastructure. And then we also think about like performance and cost. If it's a cloud service, has anybody here been asked about tokenomics? Right, it's a thing. Like it's a new vector, a new KPI in the business that if we don't have full visibility and understanding, it can be challenging. We also had conversations, even in early generative AI conversations, as new frontier models were coming out, it was hard to have an inventory of like, what models do I actually have in production? Because many times models come under concern over compliance based on its source and provenance and training. And so we're really focused on deploying AI infrastructure monitoring and observability for AI across our observability portfolio to try to close that gap. But you may have seen an announcement we had last month. We made the announcement. It's just closed, but we acquired Galileo AI. They are an absolute leader in the evaluation and observability of agentic systems. And we're going to be announcing this as Splunk Agent Observability that will be GA'd in August as an on-prem standalone solution. Then we're going to spend the rest of the year, towards the back half of the year, it'll be available as part of Splunk Observability Cloud. And the whole goal here is to be able to evaluate and observe and protect agents at every stage of the cycle. But if you're like me, I like to see this stuff in real life instead of just talking about it. So I'd like to invite some friends on stage to join me. I'm pleased to have Atin Sanyal, co-founder and chief product officer for Galileo AI, and my good friend Chris Doebert, our distinguished speaker who we didn't give a microphone. He's going to be the man on the keyboards for us. What's up?
How's it going?
Welcome. My man. Y'all, this is a big deal. He's in a suit. This just doesn't happen. I'm so proud of him. Dude, you were on the big stage this morning. How was that?
It was phenomenal. It was, firstly, I was pulled in last minute, 48 hours ago, and took a flight to Vegas and stepped on that stage. And I just realized how true it is when people say that Cisco is the largest startup in the world, because I have my co-founder here with me. We have our head of product. We have our lead PMs, and we've been running this company. It's a phenomenal team.
Welcome, friends.
It's a phenomenal team, and we've been doing this 5 years, and deep in the space of how do you build safe language models, and now how do you build safe and trustworthy agents. And we are just blown away by how Cisco is truly the biggest AI startup in the world. I love it. And in 5 days, it's completely evident to me.
Well, that's good. We feel like that, but it's good to have it from the outside coming in. Okay, so we talked about it. Everyone here, not everybody here has deployed agents yet, but everybody's thinking about it. But the big shift that happens when you go from like agents, from like regular, conversational AI to agents is, it's not like we're just prompting it. It's actually starting to take action, and those actions could have consequences that we may have to answer to the board about. So what shifts, what do we have to think about as operators in that shift?
Absolutely. I mean, like I mentioned in the keynote earlier, we've evolved from simple chatbots answering questions and doing sort of low-stakes Q&A stuff, which have less consequences, to agents doing critical actions in production. Like any app you use, any dashboard you use has some sort of an ask the agent or ask an AI. I'm sure everyone's used systems like that. And behind the scenes, you're running multi-agent systems which are making critical actions. So the entire failure mode for agents is different. And the playbook for observability, as we've learned over so many years, has kind of been swept off our feet. And we're kind of rewriting the entire canvas of how do you observe and trust these agents, and then do it at scale.
Yeah.
So we're really rewriting the playbook here.
Excellent. Well, let's get into it. You want to show some demo? Let's see it.
Absolutely. So let's pull up this demo. This is a demo application of a healthcare assistant. It's based on a real live healthcare use case that we've tackled. And some utterances are low stakes, like scheduling appointments, as you can see, but some are completely not low stakes. For example, if a patient asks for a dosage, you rely on the context for this patient. They have medical history. So when an LLM or an agentic system answers that, hey, you should take 50 to 100 milligrams, you're not sure whether it's the right answer or not. So this is where Galileo comes in, and Splunk Agent Observability. And over here, you see some of the rows. So this is the entire roster of all user-agent interactions. And some of the rows here, as you see, they're all green. But a few of them have a lot of false agent efficiency, action completion. And then there's other conversational quality results as well.
So booking an appointment here, we were booking an appointment, and all of a sudden we went to a drug interaction or a drug dosage recommendation, and you got the same sort of confidence it felt like in the reply, but that could be wrong, right? And so you're showing here is actually how we go investigate where it was wrong and how to unpack troubleshooting that.
Yes, so here we've stepped into that very trace where the drug prescription was given, and here you can see the correctness and instruction adherence is false, so we immediately detected that something's suspicious. And if you hover over them, you will get an explanation or a rationale why it was false. And in this case, it's very clear that the dosage which was prescribed, the LLM hallucinated it, and it was incorrect. And the Splunk Agent Observability system was immediately able to catch it. And in this instance, the 10 to 40 milligrams was really the right answer. And this was present in the context. So if you go to the RAG retrieval step, you will see that that data is in the user context. And we've mentioned this point before, right? Context is everything. And if you don't provide the right context, but the challenge is how do you measure that and do it at scale?
Yeah, so correctness, I don't feel like can be something we do later. It has to be at the point of deploying these agents. It needs to be done immediately. So talk to me how you actually do this at scale. It's not just one wrong answer that we catch, but it could be many wrong answers, because as you said, there could be thousands of agent interactions happening on a regular basis.
Absolutely. So what we saw was anecdotal, 1, 2 traces, and you can detect issues. But how do you know net overall how your agentic system is doing? That's where the agent graph comes in. Okay. Here you're seeing all the components, every tool call, every LLM call, and you get deep analytics into each component. And over here, you also have the ability to detect the unknown unknowns. Mm-hmm. And these are a new class of errors, which it's very hard to catch. The agents kind of go rogue. But how do you catch them and prevent them from happening? In this instance, you're seeing tool misrouting as a simple example, where there was a missing tool. The user asked for appointment information, and the wrong tool was called. And that's only because the tool that should have been called was not there in the prompt. So this is a signal that the system generates for you. You get the suggested action here.
All right, so you caught something that shouldn't have been happening, which is a good thing. That's that unknown you talked about. So we found it, but how do you actually go implement the change? How do you stop this from happening in the future?
Right. So I think the next step is how do you, like you said, how do you measure it continuously? Mm-hmm. So you create a metric. Okay. And the system automatically creates the prompt for you, and all the configurations are set automatically. And at the bottom, you see that you'll be able to create a metric, and that allows you to measure it across all your past and future.
And a metric is essentially a guardrail in your world, right? In the way we talk about it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's essentially a guardrail.
Okay. So the thing we just discovered in production, in this environment, you can actually catch it, understand that environment, understand what tools were broken, and actually then deploy that into production that easily?
Exactly. And to the point of guardrailing, I'll just add that there's latency and cost issues with guardrails. Mm-hmm. So some innovation we've done is Luna, which are smaller language models, and that really unlocks the ability to detect the wrong action that the agent would take in real time and steer it to the right behavior. That's essentially the power of.
And one of the things, actually, G2 brought it up, and I want to re-highlight it because I thought it was kind of a cool conversation that maybe if we're not in the AI observability or agent observability space, we might not kind of grok this concept, but like actually running evals using large language models can be very expensive if you're using large language models to power those evaluations. So talk to me about like what are the outcomes of doing something like this Luna small language model? What's the actual impact and outcome for customers?
The impact is everything, really. LLM-based evals don't scale, and a lot of people have built internal systems which are based on LLMs. And one area where we've really innovated is how do you capture these at giving you the same accuracy as LLMs, but doing it at a fraction of the cost, almost like 90+% less cost and latency.
Yeah.
Because that's what you need when things are operating and actions are being taken at machine speed, like we say.
Yeah.
The thing is that observability also needs to operate at machine speed to prevent these errors, and Luna is a key unlock for that.
That's fantastic. Well, folks, this is the Splunk Agent Observability Platform. Atin, thank you so much for joining us, and Chris, thanks for running the keys. Again, the whole goal here and what we're doing with Galileo is bringing their incredible talent to the Splunk team and actually helping them drive all of us forward and bringing observability and trust into those AI systems. So thank you so much for joining me, guys.
Thank you. And a big shout out to my team, my co-founder, and my product team who are here.
Thanks, brother. My man. In a suit and everything. It's a whole thing. All right, so thank you guys for joining us. Hopefully you understand that our goal is to support your journey towards agentic operations, delivering the data, the context, the actions powered by agentic AI as rapidly as we can to help you be successful. Hopefully you're excited about some of the innovations we've launched. I think they are transformative in making you more efficient, more effective, and fighting the battle in the world that we all live in today. And the folks that are going to win, I think, are the folks that start to adopt these capabilities early. But before you head off to the celebration, I know I'm standing between you all and a nice cold beer. I want to remind you to mark your calendar, September 14th through 17th. We're going to be hosting Splunk's.conf in a brand new city, Denver. You won't have to be in Vegas again. Maybe you love it, I don't know. But we'll have a ton more innovation to share with you there, and we'll also have some good parties. But I hope you all have a fantastic night. Enjoy the concert. And as always, stay Splunky, my friends.